Welcome to KRA's The Hub, the official podcast of KRA Corporation. And now get ready to hear workforce topics and trends you need to know on the go.
Well, welcome back to KRA's The Hub podcast. I'm excited for today because really today's episode is a part of a series that we recently recorded at the 2024 NAHDAP Youth Symposium. It was actually the 25th Youth Symposium put on by NAHDAP. And I just want to start off today's episode by thanking the NAHDAP staff for putting on another great event. This year's symposium brought a gathering, a collection of individuals in workforce development from around the country. And I think this year was one of the largest attended symposiums throughout the 25-year period. So it was a great event full of energy, a lot of great ideas that were shared both in the general sessions as well as many of the workshops. And as we've been able to do here at KRA over the last year is not only have conversations with influencers within workforce development leaders, but also attend some of the larger national conferences and also have conversations with folks there. And at this conference, I had an opportunity to sit down with several wonderful guests. Some of them were presenters at the conference. Others were leaders in workforce and also some exhibitors that were there displaying some really great technology. And so as you sit back and listen to these episodes in this series, I hope that you would glean from the energy, the ideas, the best practices that were shared at this conference. And as always, our goal is to make it relevant. And really this conference, again, was focused on youth services. So many of our conversations were focused on youth services and workforce development, strategies, technologies that are being employed currently, but also what's to come as things are ever evolving within workforce development, the industry that we're in. How do we stay at the forefront of that? So again, I want to thank you for joining us here on KRA's The Hub, our podcast, and enjoy the episodes that we have here from our recent participation at the NAHDAP Youth Symposium in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you.
All right. Well, this is Jonathan Overall with KRA's The Hub podcast, and I am here. Today is day number 2 at the NAHDAP Youth Symposium here for 2024, and I'm joined by some of the guests and some of my colleagues that are also here at this conference. It's always great to catch up with people and also to learn a little bit about what they do and who they are and what are they doing here at this conference. And so now I am joined by Laurie Larrea. She is the Senior Advisor with NAHB, the National Association of Workforce Boards, and she is doing a number of things here at this conference, and I'll allow her to share a little bit about that. But Laurie, it's great to connect with you here at the NAHDAP Youth Symposium.
Thanks, Jonathan. So good to be here. It is a wonderful 25th year celebration at this symposium, and I'm so excited to turn out lots of people, lots of frontliners, people who are doing the work. So it's really exciting for me.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great to see the mix of people that are here from different parts of the country and to hear some of the themes that are discussed during the general sessions and a lot of great workshops as well, and just really a think tank and a way to really allow iron to sharpen iron with ideas, strategy. So tell us, our audience, what is your work here today and over the last couple of days here at this conference? What are you doing and who are you representing as you're here at this symposium?
Oh, gladly, getting the word out. National Association of Workforce Boards is a partner in what's called the Next Level Collaborative. That collaborative includes NAHDAP, Third Sector, and SAFL Partners, who is the lead agent. Apparently, this is the third year of that grant. I came into it around midsummer. So for me, it's the last 6 months of a 3-year grant intended, it's Department of Labor, ETA, intended to help boards and state boards to better prepare, to perform, to perhaps remedy situations if there are issues. So it's a technical assistance grant. Each conference that we can make it, we turn out en masse. There's about 8 of us here today. And we have what's called office hours. So right now we have a room here in the hotel for anyone to come in and ask us questions, and we problem solve with people. So that's one part of what we do. We also have a booth in the exhibit hall, and one of our people, Melissa Aguilera, she is doing presentations on Workforce 101 and apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is a big part of SAFL's work.
That's great. Now, you're in Texas, and you've come through the workforce development system there. Tell us briefly about your background and some of the roles that you've served in the region and the state of Texas.
Oh, gladly. I am just completing 46 years in the workforce system. And what I love about this, it's full circle. When I started in CETA back in the day, I started in youth programs, and I was doing youth eligibility. Wonderful then, because we could do 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds and up, and those kids were so excited to be a part of a summer jobs program. So that's kind of where I got the hunger to stay in workforce. From there, I became an executive director in my hometown back in Southeast Texas, moved on to Houston as the director of operations, and then I've been was with the Dallas board for 34 years as the executive director CEO.
That's great. Now, at this conference, what are you seeing with the folks that you're talking to? I know there's a number of frontline staff. There are leaders that are here as well. What are you hearing? What are some of the things that you're seeing around youth services with the folks that you talk to? I'm sure that there are probably challenges that we see across the board. What would you say that you're seeing now currently at this moment?
One of the biggest things that's been with us for generations is recruiting youth. How to find the youth, how to get them involved and keep them involved in programming until they complete either a certification, an education, or at least find a job that moves them forward. That's everybody's problem. I do hear a lot of concern about special populations, particularly looking for background-friendly opportunities for kids that get in trouble at an early age. And this is true through all of the workforce programs right now. But I like that we're putting energy into those special populations. They're no longer the smallest group that we could touch. They're formidable, and we need to have programs that address those needs. And I've seen some very good quality programs on the agenda here. Love some of the guest speakers they'll have. I think we're going to hear motivation and energy for this group. The other stuff we hear is monitoring findings, and that's traditional for us. People come to the room and say, how do you solve this? Or how could I not have to do that? And how do you sole source? And I went, well, I don't. It's too hard to prove. So that's sort of the business we're in, is let's understand what's keeping us from doing our best work, and let's see if we can help problem solve as the collaborative.
Mm-hmm. That's great, yeah. And I'm sure you see a lot of that probably here. There's probably trends that you see as well. Thinking back in your journey, as a board director, but also starting off in youth services, how have you seen the evolution? I know you talked about the full circle that you've gone through in your career, but in terms of what you've seen during that time, youth services over the years and where we are today, how would you describe that journey?
It's interesting because I do see a separation of two parts. From the time I began until 2020, we had a summer jobs program. And I found that if you paid children to show up, they showed up, they worked, they were so happy to have their own money, to be able to buy tennis shoes, to buy school supplies. It then disappeared. And for the last 24 years, we've been trying to bring in mayors who are doing a beautiful job in many cities, bring in private industry to take over that load. But I also see that we've sort of X'd out the 14, 15-year-olds. We begin with 16, 17. The youngest ones were the most impressionable. It was easier to break through. They listened to the communication. I think the younger we approach this issue with meaningful work, with income, the better off we were. I see now that we're having a battle, and particularly with young men of color. There are other ways to make a living these days, both inside the lines and outside the lines. And I think we're fighting a losing battle by not engaging earlier with more money to do that. I don't think we'll ever replace the summer jobs program, but I wish someone would take that up, champion that, and recognize for younger inner city youth, younger youth in the rural areas, they need an opportunity to see their future earlier than 16 and 17.
That's good, yeah. Thinking those traditional things, we got to stick with what works in the communities and engage. I like that early in that age range. Now, obviously, you have a national lens with the work that you do, but tell us about your home state of Texas and some of the things that you're seeing there in terms of the trends or the needs within youth or just workforce development in general. What are some of the top driving issues when it comes to workforce in your region of Texas?
I appreciate that question. I don't know how much I can tell you. In the last year, since I've been away from that desk, I have been so appreciative to have the national lens, to begin talking to people from Hawaii to South Carolina, to understand that the Texas model, which I adored, I sent out there to the world saying, you must do the Texas model. That model is changing, as are most of the preformed activities in WIOA. We all thought we knew, but bringing in so much concentration on RECIA, people are redefining. TANF is being redefined. In many board areas, that was just a given that was part of the program operation. Some states have changed that model. So Texas is like, I think there will be serious modification based upon reduction of resources. We have a serious situation where many states are looking at single state jurisdictions. Not a bad thing. It's just going to change the culture. Wagner-Pizer changes. We've seen that has created a change in the operational level. What we're trying to do is head toward what comes next. And I think what comes next is learning from everything we've already done and building in the most important pieces of it and fortifying it with hopefully budget. But in the mix of what we're seeing now with the change of Congress, we're not sure. We're not sure that anything that was done previously will take hold coming.
That's good, yeah.
Exciting times.
Yeah, I know the uncertainty of the future and where we are, but I think, one thing that you mentioned were, some of the basic fundamentals that we know about workforce, and we know there's probably diversification of funding types within the workforce landscape. But I know Texas is a state that's unique in its own right, and so it's interesting to hear what's happening there. So thank you for that.
It's a lot of big budget boards because of what they compose these boards beautifully, beginning in the mid-90s. And you have not only WIO, a suite of services, but boards took on adult education. Boards took on child care reimbursement for families who work or learn. Boards were empowered through that money to not spend our days worrying about how to pay the rent, how to pay the technology and the insurance to be as secure as possible. So I do think more in the AJCs is an answer, and AJCs are not brick and mortar. We're seeing so much movement you go to Vegas and you see the libraries and how wonderfully that is working. You go to some areas where the rural is having to bring the buses, talk to people remotely. There are so many things we've learned from all these years. This is a more than 50-year journey. I hope we can all sit down and say, this is what worked and this is what didn't. Let's move ahead without thinking you just drop it all and redesign. Learn from the past.
That's good. Yeah, no, that's something we talk about a lot internally, community access points, libraries, and really leveraging those partnerships, those relationships where we're partnering together on services, events, promoting, conducting outreach in those locations as well. Mobile career centers. Are you guys seeing the mobile use of career services as well in that area?
Yes, and I think that came about 10 years ago, maybe 15. What's coming now is the validity of that. Was it right for that particular area? But when you have massive areas set out with very few access points, very few Wi-Fi points as well, the bus conversation, I think, has waned a bit. But still finding people remotely, COVID changed our brains in a good way. We began to see how we could function without going into the hard-walled office. And I think that's one more step. Now we have to come back and understand how purposeful that was to certain populations. Some of the things that I've also worked on at NAWB since I've been there, skills-based hiring and assessing for skills-based hiring. And I think that is another coming wave. We've got to figure out how to assess the skills of the people sitting in front of us in a workforce center to help them maximize their time to do a little bit more training, get that certification, and move into those entry-level jobs. Right now, we have very few systems. We have a lot of learning education records. LERs are out there, beautiful processes. Assessing and training our staff to assess the customer is sitting front and center, ready to be attacked. How do we do that? What's the model? What are the documents? What are the tools we can use to properly assess and help that person move forward as fast as we can? I think employers will be welcoming proof of skill if we can figure out how to prove it.
That's great. Yeah, skills-based hiring, one of the fundamentals. I was in a workshop yesterday, and they were talking about what are some of the most important elements of a youth program. And they, some people threw out assessments, placement, engagement, incentives, but that was one of the keys. That was one of the themes that came up a lot, was assessing, because it really starts at the beginning.
It does.
And finding motivations, finding the why, helping to develop an individual employment plan that's unique to that individual. So it really does start with assessment.
Takes a lot of skill in the workforce centers, and I think that is something that a lot of the people here at this conference share a need. They are the frontliners. The majority of the people work every day to help people move into these jobs. They need more tools and more training.
That's great. Now, before we close, I have a question for you. I've been asking folks around the table and individuals that are here at this conference, if you were to design a youth program today, thinking about all of the years of experience, where things are trending, knowing what the needs are in the community, what would you say would be one of the top 1 to 2 priorities that you would outline in designing a program?
Oh, what a good question. As you know, I say that 14, 15-year-old is the sweet spot. I think we need programming and we need money, lots of money, to concentrate on those youth, both in school and out of school, bringing them quality workforce tools, just as we need to bring quality math and reading workforce tools into the schools and out of the schools. After-school programming that includes work, modeling, showing people, if you can see it, you can be it, giving people role models in the workforce, not just sports figures, people in the workforce who are excelling, who are making a living. And youth need all of that, and they don't need it. We need a holistic approach to our young adults. As far as those who have already dropped out, we have programs that are addressing that, I think. But catching people before they've made those mistakes or they've decided there's nothing in it for them, restoring hope to young adults, a lot of cases, that's the key. They have to be hopeful and turned on about their future. So I like the idea of youthful staff working with youth. I think that is another thing, finding more young adults to be those pioneers in the workforce centers. I felt like I was one of those long ago and far away, right out of college, and start talking directly to young people who didn't have my same experience. And that's key, is becoming more attached, more committed to the endeavor. Sometimes we try to do too much, boil the ocean. But I love the idea of concentrating on youth with enough dollars to do that and with outcomes, which is we're building the new workforce. We can't get by without them.
That's great. That should be something that excites everybody, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Especially parents.
Exactly, yeah. Coming alongside, providing that guidance. And I think you hit on something there. Earlier, often, starting obviously young, but partnering with families and taking a two-gen approach of working with every age group within the household that we can and really partnering. So really great stuff. And Laurie, I want to thank you for the conversation today. And our audience is wide and far, but there are probably folks that are listening today that would want to learn more about what you do and would love to probably get in contact with you and even some of the services that you're providing. How can they get get in contact with you or follow the work that you're doing, and perhaps reach out about technical assistance.
Sounds great. Workforce GPS is a tool we are using for the Next Level Now Collaborative. You can find all of our videos, and there are many. All of the webinars and the tools are listed under Next Level Now on Workforce GPS. For me personally, I would love to share my email. It's Larrea L, that's LARREAL, @NAWB.org. Very simple. But yes, please, if you don't get that, call the NAHB offices in Washington. There is a good-sized staff now. We're all over the country. And I love that idea that not all of us have to work out of D.C., but everywhere from West to East Coast and in between. We are hopefully going to do more to help the boards during whatever comes. And I think that's the commitment of the executive team now. It's just let's help, let's be advocates, let's set up what's coming for the future and hope that our boards can stay informed. And that's important.
That's great. In the times that we're living in, we need more of that, and I think it's a great resource, what you're doing here at this conference, providing that technical assistance, allowing people to stop by, but also really continuing that work during the times that we're in. I think that we've seen a generational shift as well, new leadership within the industry. So what you're doing, the experience is really admirable. But thank you, Laurie, for your time here. I know you're busy here at the conference, and I'm glad we got a chance to connect here, and sure we'll see each other in the future. Look forward to sitting down with you again and seeing where we are in the industry of workforce development, what's trendy at the time, and talking about solutions in that area. But again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan. Enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to KRA's The Hub. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about KRA Corporation, visit www.kra.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.